Hello, this is Jimmy Mitchell, and we are back with another episode of Libertarian Uncensored podcast, going over all the posts on the Libertarian Uncensored subreddit. So let's start off with mutualism as an alternative to libertarian capitalism. Hear me out, please, from Intelligent Peace 4090, and they said, hear me out. I am a mutualist. I believe in free market, but an actual free market can't exist until we have capitalism. That is because means of production who are owned privately under capitalism lead to monopolization on the market. Free market isn't one where big five companies own all the things, and it's very hard to enter a market and not get brought or crushed by these firms. This is where I propose my alternative, mutualism. Mutualism is an anarchist ideology that believes in freedom and worker ownership of means of production as well as free market. It wants to remove the system of profit for the capitalist wages and wages for the workers, and instead wants to give workers full ownership of the means of production because they are only then no one is exploited. The moral law of mutualism is when what you made is yours. So if you want to work in a cafe, the coffee you made is someone from grinding on the coffee machine by pouring it into the cup. All the money from it is yours. No one has a right to take it. Mutualists 100% support money. The practice mutualist loses the same as agorist counter economy. We also engage in mutual aid. And that sounds interesting. And I guess I would support that, but I definitely think, if no one should be forced to do that if they don't want to. That's my thoughts as libertarian, As long as you're not hurting anyone else, you shouldn't be forced to do something as long as you don't want to, And, that's the thing is, when it comes to economics, it's I think something like mutualism might be well intentioned, but I don't know if the results will be good, especially because it seems like, like a backdoor to maybe socialism or communism. Then we have the people who claim we're pro-child mutilation have zero issues with doctors, nurses, pediatricians, etc. cutting on the genitals, of baby boys, intersex babies for International Silver One. That's crosswords from the r/Aimbo subreddit, and it's a tweet from Bloodstained Man responding to Matt Wash. Well, circumcision, #circumcision are no longer uses the term genital mutilation because interactivists have and successfully point out to the obdurate Appenspiro athletes that the most common genital mutilation of children is in fact infant circumcision in the U.S. And I guess I would agree with that. I personally am more on the against circumcision side because I don't think the kids can consent to it. But I guess you have if people want to do circumcision, and I guess they should be able to. I think it's an issue that, it's kind of overblown, I think, because I don't think there's too much difference between an uncircumcised and a circumcised penis, really, outside of just some skin issues. Then we have California moving company that touts its young, fit staff sued by feds for age discrimination. No idea you were doing anything wrong from NY Post, and I posted that. And I said, the woke id poll stuff is totally just a few people on Twitter, though. Sarcasm. It's like you just can't the government wouldn't sue the NFL because it doesn't have senior citizen players to combat ageism. So the thing is I don't know why the government's suing people here. It's like they won't sue a sports league for not having senior citizen players. So why are they suing people here? And I think it's just kind of stupid. Then we have USDA friends take away meals from schools that refuse trans-inclusive policies from USDA.gov, and I posted that. And I saw that on the #r/stupid poll subreddit, and I said, the woke impulse stuff is totally just a few people on Twitter, though. Sarcasm again. It depends on how bad it is, I guess. USDA here sounds like they will cut funding if someone's accidentally misgender once, and that sounds too restrictive for me. It's just that's increasingly how the government is justifying its authoritarianism. If you dare dissent from the woke progressive standard at all, then they're going to come after you, it seems like, and that's something that I think is good. I don't think the government should be enforcing all these cultural standards on people. Then we have prosecutors agree he shot a man in self-defense. They're still trying to put him in prison from Reason.com by 2000 time a charm. And I said, fuck the U.S. legal system, because it's all full of bullshit like this, it seems. Then we have defending globalization from IER.org, American Institute of Economic Research, and I personally think that globalization is, in some ways, it can be good, getting resources, spreading resources all around the world, and people contacting each other all around the world. But in a lot of ways, I think we need to focus more on individualism than globalization, and that's the problem. Because increasingly we are forced to be part of the global world, and I don't think that's something that's good. Just like people are forced to be part of their national communities or even their local or state communities, I think people shouldn't be forced to be part of any communities, and that's something that increasingly you're forced to be a part of a community, even if you don't want to be. Then we have mods can call you a liar and an idiot, but don't make fun of their mom from 2000 How Much Harm. And they said MSNBC mod can repeatedly engage in bad faith, call you names, but if you make fun of someone's mom, he's going to ban you. Promise this has absolutely nothing to do with this political ideology. Promise. I don't know if I replied to that one. Yeah, but it definitely goes to show you, that even the subreddit brand themselves Uncensored, there's still going to be bad faith actors who engage in censorship. So that's something that I think is interesting. Then we have Trump doubles down on dreams of being a dictator from RollingStone.com by Donald Key, and I said, Orange man bad, up dudes to the left, never change Reddit. I personally don't care for Trump, and I'm as tired of him as everyone else. But the thing is that other politicians don't give a shit about your rights either, but Reddit only seems to care when it's Orange Man or another member of the GOP. Then we have Pearls of Worst Wine by Stefan Pastes for December 20th, 2023, and that's from Go Comics, and I posted that, and it's a drawing of a guy. He's walking up to the pool, he says, and everyone's in the pool going, yeah, woohoo, haha. He says, well, what's all this? And then they say, life's full of goodness, we're just here enjoying the sun, our friends, our lives. And he says, well, has this always been here? And they say, yeah, where have you been? And he points across to the pool of Twitter line, he says, and there's been people saying the whole world's bad, and then the pig says to the goat, life is all about the pool you play in. And I said, nice point by Pastes today. You can't go outside and actually enjoy life, or spend all of it bitching and moaning on social media. I personally prefer the latter, but just some food for thought. Then we have Javier Milei has been officially inaugurated as president of Argentina. Our plan to apply is to apply his plan for Argentina in this video to the U.S. agencies: IRS, Fed, NSA, DHS, FBI, CIA, DOE, CDC, FDA, FEC, Afuera, from LP National on Twitter, and I posted that, and I said, preach, the less alphabet agencies, the better. And it looks like Milei's had a good start so far. He's already reduced their cabinet from 21 positions to 9, so that's very good, If that ever happened in the U.S., that would be crazy, but I don't know if that's going to happen here anytime soon. No matter what the problem is, the corporate press is always happy to give a megaphone to people that wanted to give failed elites more power to take away your rights, and that's from Liam Hemingway on Twitter, or Mark Hemingway on Twitter, and it's for a link to the Washington Post opinion piece. To fight anti-Semitism on campuses, we must restrict speech by Clara O. Finkelstein. And I said, that's generally the role of the alpha media, to get people to exchange all their freedom for a perceived sense of safety. Then we have, it's so funny when people like this pretend to give a shit about the Constitution from defying L's. That was my reply to it. There was a tweet from Andrea Junker who tweeted on August 10th, 2018, if Trump can get away with violating freedom of the press, what stops him from trying free speech and the right to assemble? And will I stop with ending the First Amendment? Well, that's the 4th, 5th, 14th. But then on April 2nd, 2022, she said the UK banned Fox News because they saw it as propaganda for far right-wing extremism. It's about time we give Fox News the same treatment. And that's what I said, the post title. It's so funny when people like to pretend to go to the Constitution because they clearly don't. It's like, I support free speech, but only when I agree with it. Sounds like a lot of people on social media these days. Then we have Al Gore, the dude who said he'd be underwater by now, thinks the world choosing not to be propagandized is bad for him from being a libertarian on Twitter, and I posted that and I said, guess he regrets having invented the internet. Because, he said that the government research he funded was fundamental to the internet, so I guess he regrets doing that now. And, Al Gore is just another one of the grifters who wants to bully all his cultural standards on you. And then, I really don't care for George W. Bush, but I'm really glad that this guy never got the presidency. Then we have, why did Nozick write both different and differential in the same paragraph from O. Frank? And he says, question 1 is simple. In simple language English, please distinguish between different and differential. Question 2, and why did Nozick write different one? So I don't know what this is about, but I guess, if people want to think things are different or differential, whatever terms they want to use, I think they should be able to. Then we have, my favorite species of lib is the one who cheers about the presence of hundreds of copies of banned books at their local big box retail chain with zero self-awareness from Aaron McIntyre on Twitter. And I posted that, and that was his reply to Chris Story tweet. Shouts must know for those their banned book section. We need more people in the work standing up for freedom to read these books. And I said, notice that they never put stuff like Mein Kampf, Return Diaries, and stuff like this. All books up there more or less follow the progressive narrative. It was, and I bet you any amount of money that the person who would buy the read banned books tote bag in the picture would go ballistic if they saw you reading Mein Kampf in public. So that just goes to show you that, they say, oh, we can't do banned books, but suddenly when the books go against the progressive narrative, suddenly then they're the worst thing ever. So that's important to remember how they use, as Michael Malice says, they use language to manipulate, not to communicate. And you definitely see that here, I would say, when it comes to banned books. Then we have, the safetiest regime is working overtime to kill Panera's charged lemonade from Sager and Jetty on Twitter, and that was his reply to a article of Panera facing lawsuits over charged lemonade, dangers of highly caffeinated beverages come to forefront. And I said, that's the nanny state for you. It wants to protect you from anything that seems to be too dangerous. You can choke to death on pretty much anything at this rate. At the rate we are going, they might as well make food illegal. The people who died, they had pre-existing conditions and decide to take a risk. When someone dies on a roller coaster of a pre-existing condition, you don't see a push to make them illegal. So that's something else that I was thinking of. Then we have, ask the people saying Alex Jones should be banned from Twitter because of what he said. Read Sandy Hook, if Joe Biden should be banned for bombing kids on the way out of Afghanistan, from Michael Matt from Alice on Twitter, and I posted that, and I said, statist violence is always going to be downplayed, while stuff like Alex Jones is seen as the worst thing ever. It's classic pirates and emperors. The state gives the violence and it's fine, but if an individual like Alex Jones says something that might cause violence, then suddenly it's the worst thing ever. It's like the top comment pretty much says, I paraphrase, Alex Jones says words, that's violence. The U.S. government blows up a hospital. It's okay. It was all just an oopsie. So that just goes to show you that they'll downplay the state, especially when their party's in power, especially when in this case, it's mostly the Democrats on this subreddit. But, a lot of people downplay the Republicans too. So, it just goes to show you that the state, that they will justify them constantly dropping bombs. But, suddenly someone says something mean on Twitter and it's the worst thing ever. Then we have Special Counsel asks Supreme Court to decide whether Trump is immune from prosecution from NYTimes.com by Donald Key. And, I guess the Supreme Court, I guess it's really their decision. I personally think, they probably want him off the ballot since they're the conservatives. They'll probably want a better candidate. So I personally would say, maybe you could use this as a way to keep him off the ballot and put someone else, have the GOP pick another candidate instead. But, this is just another kind of orange man bad circle jerk. I like what 2000 Time of Charm wrote here. I had NYT and Trump on my bingo card. Trump should really just be in the middle square. It's basically cheating at this point. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah. We had movies, TV show, and I was over immediately defined to be libertarian. And I said, I always thought that B movie definitely kind of had a libertarian plot. Barry B. Benson's plan to do the human race so the bees could keep all the honey they made was definitely well-intentioned, but like many good-intentioned things, it ended up having very negative repercussions when all the flowers in the world being unable to be pollinated as a result. I think that's a very libertarian premise, how good intentions don't always mean good results. So that's something that I said, yeah. And the top comments were 2000 Times Charms and Firefly, Bob W. Watch Parks and Rec response the right idea. And Cowdog Curmudgeon says Dallas Buyers Club, In Time, Firefly, Seth Serenity, South Park, Parks and Rec, Big Short. And I think those are all good answers. That's my fault there. Then we have, is COP28 the nuclear the new, that's the climate change thing. And as Reason.com, I said, climate activists and their government friends don't want nuclear power because they would rather implement Marxism instead. Then we have New Hampshire's Lesson for America from 2000 Charm from IR.org. And I definitely think New Hampshire is one of the more libertarian states. And hopefully that will start spreading across the country, but it looks like it's not. Currently, it looks like everyone's just getting more and more into authoritarianism when their side does it. Then we have Cato's Personal Economic State Rankings from freedominthe50states.org from 2000 Charm. And it looks nice. The top one for overall freedom they gave to New Hampshire, followed by Florida, followed by South Dakota, and the bottom three were the bottom three: California at 48, New York at 50, and Hawaii at 49. So yeah, it just goes to show you that a lot of the DNC, the RNC might be marginally better when it comes to freedom. But, the DNC, especially when it comes to, like, California and New York, they're just going to run freedom into the ground. And Hawaii as well, that's another one. Then we have Texas woman who sought court permission for abortion leaves state for the procedure, attorneys say from APnews.com, from LegioX. And, I personally think, that hopefully they don't put her in jail if she comes back to the state. But it's just because the state can do whatever it wants to, and sometimes you just have to deal with it. So I personally am more on the pro-choice side, but I definitely don't like the state's authoritarianism when it comes to the pro-life stuff. Then we have Urgent Action Congress at Crossroads on Surveillance from Frosty Slawman from secure.rightsanddissent.org. And they blocked me, so I can't respond. But I definitely think we shouldn't be justifying the state surveilling us. But I think that's just going to happen regardless of what the government says at this point, because they'll just do it under the table if they want to hide it. Then we have it ought to be illegal for companies to mass boycott advertising on X. South Carolina Treasurer from CNBC.com by Clorox. And I said I didn't reply to this one, but I definitely think that what's the media matter is trying to manipulate companies into suppressing free speech. But I definitely think that Twitter or X isn't entitled to those companies either. So that's important to think about as well. And we have the typical American household must spend an additional $11,434 annually just to maintain the same standard of living they had enjoyed in January 2021. And that's a post from 2009 Charm from a tweet from Unusual Wales. The typical American household must spend an additional, per CBS from December 11, 2023. And I said, the economy is great though, Reddit DNC sales. If Trump was still in office, they would agree that the economy was shit, but he isn't, so they don't. Then we have Joe Biden will lose Michigan if he doesn't get the Muslim votes. He plummeted in polling against among Muslim voters. He attempted to turn him against Trump. They do not have it. Comment section almost unanimously against him. And that's from across from Palestine Network by International Silver One. And I said, Biden's fucked when it comes to the Jews and Muslims. By trying to please everybody, he ultimately pleases nobody. The Muslims, as we just were talking about here, and then the Jews, because, all pretty much every GOP candidate, with the possible exception of Ramaswamy, is either equally or more up Israel's ass than him. So that's important to remember as well. And then we have guy charged for murder for selling illegal substances along with instructions on how to commit suicide with substances from CBC.ca, from AceBuff. and that's across from the Canada subreddit, and I said, just to show you that the state can charge you for whatever it wants to, and there might be nothing you can do about it. And I think we're gonna wrap up there. I'll see you guys next episode. Bye.